There we go. Hopefully we got it on camera. All right. Hello. Hello. Guys, I apologize for thank you guys for joining us. So Eugene and I have decided to do a podcast together. Again, a lot of you guys podcasts, you've said, hey, we'd like to be able to listen to some of the stuff that you say instead of being able to or having to watch the videos. Podcast in live on Mondays, and then we're also going to be having it up on iTunes and everything else shortly. So I'll send out messages about that and let you guys know when it is. Kind of let's dive into it today, guys, because we're talking about some topics, some things dealing with. Just commented on the community page, and we will answer some of your questions as well during the live feed. All right, so. I'm overcome by the smell a little bit right now.
The smell?
The smell.
What smell?
There's a smell that happened earlier. 20 seconds ago.
20 seconds ago.
Whew.
Yeah.
It's getting hot in here. That's right. Sound quality. Chewy. So, an open mat. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. Open mat this weekend.
Yeah, so guys, this weekend we had a, most of you guys, if you follow me on like Instagram and stuff, you probably know, or you Facebook, but we did an open mat as Dave. He works with a organization called Safe Place, some mentoring, some things where they help out local families and people in the community with things that they supplies. Like I didn't realize how expensive that stuff is.
Oh yeah.
Like we went into to a store and we 2 kids cost us like what's like for 2 backers, school supplies, scissors, all that stuff just adds up, and it was expensive, man. And I was thinking like, man, like if you were a single parent, it'd be tough.
Yeah.
And so yesterday we rolled, and then we gathered up all the stuff. I was actually down there early with the director that runs the place. And we ended up collecting, I think it was either 28, 29 backpacks and just hundreds of dollars of back-to-school supplies that we can give to kids and the local can be able to give to them. And I think it's cool, man, because I actually sent out an email this morning. So for any of you guys that aren't on, I send out almost a daily email. It's like every other day or so. Just kind of, talking about things that are going on. And one of the things that I was talking about this morning is like when people say, like, I get messages, I want to be better, right? And so for me, when I think of better, it's like, you got to know what that means, because better is different for everybody depending on where you are. My better is different than it was 5 years ago. And one of the things that's very much I quote better in my life is try making a positive impact. So for me personally, like I've been affected by strangers, people I didn't know. For some reason they took a liking to me, right? And people. So for me, one of the things that I'm in a position to where I can do that now. Kid, man, I grew up. The story I've told people before is like, one point my mom was a single mom, two other sisters, so it's single mom, 3 kids. We're living in a 1-bedroom, small apartment in a rough part of town, and I remember seeing her cry while she was looking over at bills strung out on the table. And so for me now, a chance to like help out and people that are in a situation where maybe I can be the stranger that helps them out along the way, at least a little bit, right? And then even for the YouTube channels that we're doing, part of that is simply looking backwards and saying, look, like white belt sends me a message, whatever, brand new business gym owner sends me a business or a message. I'm thinking like, okay, because I want to be able to give them some sort of useful information that comes from my own experience. Talk past, what can I do to help you guys out? Like where, and so right, and this is what I was getting to. You got to know what that means. Right, and for me, part of my better is to look back at all those people that were just like me and try to extend a hand to help them out, whether that be through some video or some thing that I share, or getting people together, some stuff to people that in need of.
Yeah, we you guys didn't know, I'm originally from Russia, and my family immigrated here when I was 6, and so when we show up, I was 6, like we're part of and my grandparents had lived here for about 10 years, and we got stuff donated to us,
Right.
It's like
impact, you know, because I still remember that to this day. You know, I remember that stuff as well. It kind of, once you, it helps you want to get back. You want to get back a little bit.
Well, because you realize the impact, right? Sure. Like, kind of insignificant to some, but then later on down the road, like those little things that maybe people did for you, it's like you're on a boat and it just over. So it doesn't seem like a big impact in the beginning, but maybe 10 years, holy crap, like you're a different person because of something that some person did, or you know that sort of thing. And so if you can turn back around and be like, hey, let me help you out. I think that's what we do in jiu-jitsu a lot of times anyways, right? Like you out, and then I'm turning around saying, helping everybody else out, and I helped you out. And then you're looking backwards and some new guy comes in, hey, man, let me help you out a little bit. You know, and it's just everybody's pulling each other up together and being a positive influence.
Great point. Remember, I went to vacation. I went to a gym to train. I just felt like I wasn't myself. Mm-hmm. Didn't have a good experience. I texted you after. I was like, man, I just felt like I just didn't represent myself well. And you took a screenshot of a message you got from. You know, I was so consumed with, man, I don't feel like I represented well. Because when you're a brown belt, upper belt, you're like, dude, I'm Chewy's student, like a level to uphold. And you know, no excuses. I just didn't. It wasn't my day. But you know, while I was there, I was able to like work with a couple white belts and show them a couple things. I was able to hit it and Chewy a message, and Chewy relayed that to me, and it just made it light of an experience I felt was negative, made it more of a positive experience for sure. So
the podcast. So we're trying some stuff out, so I need to check the connection here because
not getting anything.
Well, it's a low quality connection, so I'm looking here, and we got Pleb saying you're on Potato Vision, and then let's see, we got video and sound quality is white belt. We're on the Wi-Fi, and then we got Sean. Was it unemployed? Who else we got here? Matthew Van Helen saying, let's upload my shitty 2G Kentucky mobile data. Golly.
People are...
Let's see.
Should I talk like this? Is that any better? Should be working, right? I mean, we did the thing. We tested stuff.
I mean, it's...
Negative reviews. Thumbs down.
So, guys, this will be up on the actual podcast, so if you want to listen to it then, fine. That's legit.
What is potato?
You can use a potato. You can take a potato as your antenna. It works like a charm.
What?
Like, so if you...
This is poor kid.
No. I didn't know this. So if, like, now, the way things are set up, if you want to, get like basic channels, right?
Yeah.
If you take a coax cable and you plug it into a potato, you'll get reception.
How does that work?
I don't know. I forgot. I read.
Somebody sent us a message on how that works.
Guys,
I have no idea.
Let's see if it's getting any better. If it's not, we're going to go ahead and cut the thing off on the live feed.
And say Potato Vision.
But if you guys... Is it so much better? Okay, cool. So
it is better. So is the Wi-Fi. It sucks. Let's say.
Everybody's like, it's so much better.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Thank God.
We're upstairs, and Wi-Fi is probably somewhere
down, away. So we'll probably change... We're going to change locations soon anyway. But your comments...
TBD.
God, those are so hilarious. You guys you're fucking funny bastards. I think he's using...
You're ruthless, man.
I think he's using a Commodore 64. Is this a dial-up modem? Oh, man.
Do you all hear the AOL? Can you just hear the AOL dial-up? That's awesome.
Okay, now start telling the whole open mat story again from the top, guys. Okay.
Oh, my God. Again?
So I guess they didn't hear any of it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so real quick, guys, I'll just kind of recap everything as fast as possible because, I ramble a little bit. But the thing is as I was talking about before, in the email that I sent out this morning, if you guys aren't on the email, I send out an email every other day or so. And in the email today, I was talking about the idea of getting better and how a lot of times when I talk to people, they don't know what better means to them, right? I'll ask them, like, whether it be through one of you guys in social media or one of the guys when they come into the gym, they're like, dude, I want to get better. I'm like, well, what does that mean to you? And a lot of times people cannot tell me, like, what better is, right? They don't necessarily know what it means to be better to them. And so in those situations, you know, you have to know what that is. You have to define it, because that has to be your line of sight. And for me, like, as I've gotten older, you know, as I kind of look back on things a little bit, it's important for me to try to give back to people. Because like I said before, if you guys missed it, I grew up super poor. Like, you know, like, again, there was times where as a kid, I remember being like my mom was a single mom. There's 3 kids. We live in a crappy apartment in the bad part of town, all that stuff. And, you know, for me, like, when I see people that are in situations like that, I want to help out now that I can. And when I see white belts, blue belts, purple belts, are they talking shit again?
I can't. This guy said, I thought this was a podcast about childhood obesity.
It is. You know, it's one of those things where I want to give back to those people. And just as white belts or blue belts, whoever messages me, it's the same thing. I want to basically give some sort of reasonable response, some sort of worthwhile response. And when I do that, I have to look at, you know, where it comes from in me. And for me, being able to give back, that's part of my better. Right? Your better might be different. Someone else's better might be different. But at least better, you have to know what that means. And so for me, like, the open mat that we did yesterday and raising all the stuff that we did for those local families that are in need of school supplies, that's better for me. So, like, yesterday, I worked towards being better, because that's my definition. I have a definition of all that stuff, what it means to me. And so for people, you know, listening to this, you gotta, like, if you're feeling like you're not getting better, whatever, well, you have to define, like, what does better mean? Does it mean you're submitting blue belts? Does it mean you're winning gold medals? Does it mean that you're, you know, making a positive impact on the people in the gym with you? What does that mean? Because better is it's such an ambiguous word, better. You know,
it depends on your goals.
God, day to day, like, most people can't tell me what better means to them. They don't know. They're like, you know, better just means I'm doing better. Well, what does that mean? You know?
Do you think, like, something tangible, something specific, you know, is that the best way to start that process of figuring out where you want to go to be better, or how better is?
I think that having a tangible thing that you're shooting for is at least something to shoot towards, right? This is why tournaments are so effective, because it's like there's a tournament. It's a tangible thing where, you know, I end up winning a medal, or I lose, or I whatever, you know. Or it could even be like, I know for me, like, this may sound kind of weird to people, but one of my early goals, right, one of my early betters was rolling with my coach. Right, I was like, I want to be to the point. I never thought I would beat him, but I was like, I want to make sure that I make him sweat a little bit. Right, I wanted to be to where, like, I could make him, like, where it'd be hard to submit me. And so for me, that was like one of my, like, better. So I would roll with him on some days, and sometimes it would be tough to submit me. And I was like, today I'm better. Right, you know, and like that kind of thing. And so those things, they add up, though. But then along the way, once you go through those, you get the little intangible benefits as a byproduct of chasing some of those goals, right? Because the goals change. You're always going to need something else. There's never going to be an end to your goals, right? You're never going to be satisfied. And so at that point, you know, you're going to always have those shifting from time to time, and then you get the intangible benefits, I think, while you're on the road to those goals that are difficult for you.
Well, it's just getting. I think it's a good motivator too when you achieve something, even big or small. It doesn't matter if it's a small goal. Like today, I'm going to pass guard or focus on passing guard, and I did that. You know, like we talked to Patrick. I talk to him all the time. Big leg lock guy, and he's like, man, I just wanted to work on my top game and passing the guard, and that's all I wanted to work on. And, you know, me and him were talking after practice one day, and he's like, man, I just don't feel like I'm where I want to be. I was like, dude, look what you're doing. You're not playing. You're learning. And he's a blue belt.
Yeah, of course.
He's good.
He's a good blue belt. He's
a very good blue belt, and a guy that's definitely, you know, as he's been in the gym has changed, you know, physically, you know,
physically and mentally. I mean, gosh, he's went from being like the guy he's speaking about, man. The guy went from being like, you know, 300 plus pounds. Now he's under 200, and you know, he competes, he wins tournaments.
Oh yeah,
and
it's all the time.
He even helps our kids out. And he does a great job with them. So he's come a long way, both as inner and outer.
Right.
You know, which to me is the goal, right? Like it's a martial art. It's a way to try to develop you both physically, but also, you know, internally, and
I've seen so much of that at the gym, man. So many people come in and they're, I don't know, jiu-jitsu has a knack for that, turning these fat, unathletic, kind of down in the dumps people, when they come in, they lose weight and they get more confident and they win and they're good. It's just fun. It's fun.
It depends on the environment, though, too.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today, Eugene? Now that we got everything sorted out.
Oh wow. Yeah. You got some gis on the way, right?
Yeah, they go on sale Friday. We're gonna do a white and black gi. We did grays last year, and we're gonna do some white and black ones because a lot of people couldn't wear gray because they because the color, right? Like there were a lot of people that went to specific gyms with a name that starts with a G, and they could not wear any other gis besides white.
Could they still wear something that says Chewjitsu on it?
I guess. but they say they can wear different brands. They just can't wear any colors. It has to be white. And so we're gonna have white and we're gonna have black. So we'll have some different gis available, and those will be available Friday.
Here's the next important question: Are they IBJJF legal?
They are IBJJF legal. There's no like weird places where who knows? IBJJF can change your rules. There was the term. I was at the Nogi Pans and I bought the tatami black ranked rash guard. Right.
Yeah.
Bought the tatami black ranked rash guard, and I get there at the Nogi Pans in 2016, and I get there. And like one of the refs comes up to me and tells me, "Man, that's not a black rash guard." And so I pull up my phone. I'm like, "Look, man, it says it's the black ranked rash guard. This is the same one. I'm holding it side by side."
Did you buy it there?
No, I bought it before because I was like, I needed ranked gear, you know. And they were like, "Oh man, you need a ranked rash guard. You need a black one." I'm like, "It's black." And then he's like, "Oh, this is not black. This is something else." And I looked at like one of the guys, like, you know, I was like, "Is this black?" It's like, "I think it's black." And I'm like looking at the guy like, "Black?" And he let me go. He's like, "I'll let you go, but only this one time." I was like, "Oh, thank you, man." What? You know. And then I remember a couple of years ago, the count, the show you roll, it had this like little like embroidery right on the sleeves, right? And I saw several people that year get basically pulled out. They had to like go get a new gi. But then you'd see some people, depending on, you know, how your tan was, maybe they would get through with it, because I remember I was like, that guy's got that same show roll and he's competing, and then this guy said he couldn't because the embroidery was too close to the sleeve.
You've got a pretty good Portuguese accent, though.
I don't.
It's pretty amazing.
But so
yeah, somebody asked who I was.
Oh, as to so guys, this is Eugene. This is one of my students. He's a brown belt. And the reason we're doing this together is, one, because I don't want to sit and just talk by myself in a room. You know, like I kind of like I think podcasts is like the podcasts are built on conversation, so it's much more fun to have conversation with someone.
Sure.
But also, if you guys would like the podcast to happen, I'm going to need some help on it, because I don't have the technical know how to do all this stuff sometimes. So Eugene,
sometimes I don't either, I guess. It sounds like
but you know, yeah, I know, right? But we're going to do it together. So
yeah, guys, I've been training with Chewy like 8 years probably. He's taken me from white to brown belt under him. I'm a physical therapist as well, so I kind of do some stuff working with some of the guys in the gym as well. I run. Go ahead.
He's one of the guys that's kept me on the mats for his, like, if some people say, "Oh man, like Chewy, like how do you avoid injury?" Like, well, one of the reasons is like I talk to this guy and he'll give me some stuff and I take the information that he's giving me and I run with it, and I actually use it, and I don't get injured as much because I'm doing the things that I need you to do to address my imbalances.
He's being very nice, by the way, because Chewy is very knowledgeable about just jiu-jitsu and what the body has to take on.
Damn, I'm not a damn doctor, though.
I'm a doctor.
You're a doctor.
Yeah, so I've just kind of over the years, man, I've started to really delve into, jiu-jitsu injuries and injury prevention and just kind of stuff that, I'm dealing with my own injuries right now. We can actually talk about that. I've got a little bit of rib injury that's been kind of plaguing me a little bit. We're doing some.
And then you tried to come in early and try to do it.
I came in, I felt pretty good, and then kind of tweaked it a little bit. And it's just, for me, this is the thing. It's hard to say no. Somebody asked me to roll. I don't want to be like punk. I don't want to be like, "Oh no, I'm not rolling with you."
Well, no, but you put limits on. Like, so for instance, this
I just can't fucking do it.
You can. You got to stay disciplined, right? When you draw boundaries around things, you got to like stick to those boundaries. Like this weekend, so my knee is getting better and better and better. Like I'm actually able to put like pressure on on the bed and on the mats a little bit now, so it's not hurting. That direct pressure, it's still there a little bit, but this weekend. Both during the seminar, or not the seminar, but the open mat, and on Saturday's class, I rolled, but I swept only. Like I would only be on the bottom, so I would sweep people. I would sweep people, knock them over, and then let them get back up, or I would allow them to pass my guard, like, or I'd fight. Sometimes they just legitimately pass. We got some good guys in there, so they would pass my guard, and then I would escape out of it and work out of there. You know what I mean? So again, it was one of those things where I still got a lot out of it because I was focusing on what didn't hurt.
Yeah, I was actually watching you. You were doing technique on Tuesday. And when you were in, you would avoid kneeling on that knee. Mm-hmm. I watched you kind of keep that leg up.
Yeah, I stopped doing that because I was worried about it. Because I'm like, man, if I keep putting all the way to my left knee and I never put, I feel like I was going to create maybe a problem because sometimes you favor things a little bit differently, and I didn't want to be moving in that dynamic movement where I'm favoring one side because I was worried I'm going to create an imbalance and create another. So basically, once I get healed, then all of a sudden this one starts hurting. So I was like, I'm just going to sweep, and then once I'm done, I'll just get back up to the top.
So quick tip on that, and me and Chewy kind of talked about it as well. It's getting a brace, and I like those Bauerfeind Genutrain braces. They basically have like a little donut, like a little soft piece around the patella, around the knee, and it almost cushions and almost takes some pressure off of that bone right underneath the kneecap.
Okay.
So that can distribute some of that body weight and some of the pressure off that spot, so you're not constantly like
sure
making it angry. So
okay.
And then stretching and mobility work and stuff like that. There's CPT. It's like Chewy's got basically like almost like a patellar tendonitis, but more than that, really, it's kind of like a bruise because he was doing shots and just overly just kind of putting pressure and hitting that spot in the knee. So.
But with and so when we start talking about injuries, boom, like all of a sudden you're going to be like getting people in here that are going to be asking questions about particular injuries, if they already are, and one of the things, and you can comment on this however you want. For me, one of the big things with injuries, as I've gotten older, right, when I was younger, you have a certain like no pain no gain mentality.
Yeah,
it's a stupid idea, right? When something really hurts, you need to back off. As I've gotten older, I've kind of backed off a little bit. And I try to find things that don't hurt, right? So I'll basically like test the waters a little bit. And so, for instance, these past couple weeks when I've been injured, I've been lifting weights consistently more. I've been doing some different cardio that didn't hurt, like bikes, things like that. I've been doing a bunch of animal crawls in a certain way. There's a program I was doing, like basically a bunch of movement drills and really focusing on the movement of my body, working on a lot of the stuff that we went over when you did the assessment, doing some deep squats to sort of open up the hips and stuff like that. And then eased into jiu-jitsu. And when I started doing the jiu-jitsu again, I focused mostly on the bottom, my half guard, my sweeps, things like that where I can do it with no pain, and that's where I stuck to. And if I felt like I was starting to get into a situation where I was going to get myself hurt, I just backed off. You know what I mean? And so I think that, like, for instance, when I started my very first day coming back to rolling a little bit, I did 2 rounds. 2 rounds, like 4 minutes, which is nothing, but it's like I stopped there, and then I kind of worked my way up.
Yeah, I mean, so if you see a PT and they don't know, or physical therapist, and they don't know what jiu-jitsu is, maybe showing some basic movements so they get an idea on that would help. But a lot of PTs don't have a good understanding of what jiu-jitsu is and how to avoid. They know how to like say, okay, let's do these exercises to get your knee to stop hurting, but they don't know how to integrate you back to jiu-jitsu. That's where a physical therapist that may know jiu-jitsu or a coach that is knowledgeable about injuries and positioning and things like Chewy knows, he's dealt with injuries. Me and him talk about injuries all the time, and we've figured out how to work around them. And that's important. Like he said, he's not training, but he's doing other things to complement his jiu-jitsu, outside of, just being on the mats, which is great. And if you see a good PT, unless you have a serious injury like a surgery or whatever, usually they'll find a way for you to work around that. I don't ever want to tell somebody not to do something they love.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of times, like in the medical field, I've had several injuries, and when I've had them, a lot of times the medical practitioners, they're like, "What are you doing again?
Why are you doing it?
Like you don't understand." And like for me, like I get it. Because like I'll go to like different people's like functions, like people that aren't within our jiu-jitsu circle, which is rare. But when you go there and like I just like a lot of times I'm really bad about this sometimes. She makes fun of me because I'll just be off in thought.
Yeah.
Like I literally be dead, like away from the world, like just staring off and like just observing things, almost as if I'm watching like National Geographic. You know what I mean? Like I remember like one of the guys took me to a basketball game, and I sat there, and it's like I know how basketball works. I've been to basketball games before, but it's been so long. I'm there, and I'm just watching it happen. And I'm just like, this is so interesting. I'm not even watching the actual game. I'm watching all the people and how crazy fans get, or how much energy these guys are putting into shooting a basketball through a hoop. All those different things. But I'll watch people when I go to these functions, and I look at them, and like and it's no like stab at anyone. It's just like I see people, and like the only thing that they do is go to work, come home, drink beer, go to sleep, get back up, rinse, repeat. That's all they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's your fucking life, dude.
You're
like
in the Matrix, dude.
Golly, dude, I don't know what the hell you're in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus, you're all you do is get up, go to work, drink beer, come home, go to sleep, maybe watch a football game with your buddies on the weekend, and that's all you do. Like, I mean, I guess that's okay, but for me, it's like, what do you do to live a little bit? Like, what do you do to, like, spark some life in you? And so for me, like, jiu-jitsu is one of those things where jiu-jitsu, and there's other ways to do this. Jiu-jitsu is one method of it. I think it's any there's all sorts of other ways you can exercise this whatever it is in us.
Yeah.
But, man, there's so many, like, cool things you can be doing with your life, not just, like, just going through this fucking rinse cycle every single day,
Yeah.
And I look at that and I'm just like, man, dude, you're missing out. And so these medical practitioners, I'm like, I want to ask them sometimes, what am I supposed to do? I mean, do you want me to just go home and sit on my ass all day long and do nothing, or do you want me to go for like a nice long walk once a week or something? Like, I mean, again, the body's going to rust out or it's going to wear out. What do you want to? What do you want to do?
Yeah, you want to putter away to 100, or do you want to go hard and be able to accomplish a lot and live, a fulfilling life to 80 or 85, whatever those last 15 years do they, and we talked about this, you and I talk about this all the time, those last 15 years or whatever it is that quality, you know what I mean? Is that quality for you?
I mean, yeah, and it's like a cruel joke, man, because the society tells us that what we're supposed to do is from our 20s and 30s and 40s, right, the best years of our life to just basically save up and don't do anything, save up for this golden era, right? And then you get there and you might not, first off, you might not even get there, you might fucking die right beforehand, you might have all kinds of weird issues, and if you make it, then great, you got all this money that you saved up, but then now you don't even have the energy to use it, you're old, man, I mean, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with old, because there's nothing, I'm not saying be irresponsible, what I'm saying, man, you got to live a little while you're young, because you only got this thing for a short limited time, and whether you use it up on a daily basis through training or you don't use it up at all, the damn thing's it's in perpetual state of decay. So you make your choice, right? And to me, it's I would never want to look back and be man, I really wanted to do this thing, but I didn't do it out of fear of something else, right? So it just...
Or take your time you have for granted. Take your youth for granted almost. I'm going to be 35 this month, and I'm what do I want to do? Do I want to keep... do I want to get after it more? Do I want to get myself better? Do I want to get to a better level of physical condition than I've ever been? Why can't I? I've got the knowledge to do it. I've got the know-how. I just got to put the effort and the time in. So that's kind of what I was thinking yesterday when I was working out.
Better being a relative term. What is better? You gotta pinpoint that.
Yeah.
It can't be an abstraction of better. Fuck, what is better? I'm in better shape. Well, how are you going to measure that? What are your markers? Is it this weightlifting that you're doing? Are you stronger? Is it that you can run more miles? Is it that you can roll more hard rounds? Do you put on a chest strap and test your? I mean, you gotta get into that stuff. Is it rolling with a particular person in the gym that's your white rabbit? Where it's that's the dude that if I can hang with him, I know I'm getting better.
Yeah.
You got to figure those things out, because people say this thing. We're all guilty of it, myself included, right? We stare at this abstraction of the future, right? And we go after it. It doesn't even actually exist. It's something we're shooting for, right? And we forget to take stock of the present moment. There's so much cool shit going on just day to day, and we're so damn fixated on the better, fixated on whatever's going to happen, that we forget. Look, man, all those things happen right now.
It's hard. How do you come back to that though? How do you ambulance? So how do you recalibrate, recenter yourself to now? What do you do?
Meditate.
Primarily? Yes.
I mean, dude. And meditate doesn't have. I guess I've talked about this in another video. It doesn't have to be you're sitting in a room with incense and gongs. It can literally be put your damn phone away. Go sit in a park. Before I did this, I sat in a park. I went and sat at Seneca Park. Right. I sat out there. It's a beautiful sunny day. Sat behind a shaded tree, and I sat there. I didn't say a word. I didn't look at my phone for 20 minutes. I just sat, stared, and take it in. Right, you can go do float tanks. You can close your eyes. You can do Tai Chi or Qigong. Right, do the movements. We have one of the guys at the gym that does that, and I really enjoyed doing a lesson with him. And he gave me some things to do, and I still do them.
Sweet.
Right, there's tons of ways you can do it, but you gotta get away from all the stimulation a little bit and just come back to yourself. Right, that's really what it is. To me, it's just quieting everything else so you can hear what you're saying on the inside. As weird as that sounds.
I like the sauna's a great place.
Sure.
Me and my wife just set up the sauna in the...
You guys got one of those infrareds?
Yeah, we just got in it yesterday. It was awesome.
And I haven't been invited over.
We just got in it, man, and it was awesome.
So
it's fantastic.
We got another one. We're gonna go back to a second. B Mannon says, "Pro tip: don't do a podcast at the same time as JRE."
I don't care. Well, we're not level yet. What are you talking about?
No, I mean, it's just funny. But so you got the sauna, and so
man, I just took a little time to read and and actually earlier that
sauna.
Yeah, I read book.
Do you not start sweating?
Yeah, sweating.
Not gonna go through the pages or something.
That's all right.
Okay.
You just Yeah. But man, it was.
You ever done just walking too? Just a long walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, long walk, no nothing. No, you maybe music if you want to with no lyrics or anything like that. But I mean, just a walk. We where we live, we're right behind a park, and I'll get up, especially after meals, and just go for a nice long walk.
Right.
And again, it's one of those things where you just you gotta get away from all the stimulation for just a little bit.
Yeah, we my wife and I actually we just had some time. The kids actually went to sleep. They were sleeping, taking their naps, and we just went to the room and we actually meditated for 10 minutes.
Sure.
You know, we just listen to like a little
Yeah.
meditation, and primarily you just try to focus on your breathing. If you're not good at meditating, which I'm not good at meditating at all, focus.
That's such a. But see,
I'm not.
But see, no.
It's a skill.
No.
I don't think I do it.
But the funny thing is like, again, if you go into meditation with the idea of being good at meditation, you're chasing it with the same thing that we chase everything out. You're after something.
Well, I want to be better.
Be better what?
So I want to be better at focusing on my breathing and have my mind more clear.
Right. And again,
but
it's such a funny thing because when you listen to someone who's been meditating for years, they don't like. It's a silly thing to chase after because then you get frustrated with yourself. Oh fuck! I stopped. Like you get to those moments where you're breathing and there's nothing in your head, and then all of a sudden you realize you start thinking about the fact that there's nothing. You're not thinking about anything. So then you're thinking about something, and then you get frustrated with yourself. You know, like I just you may not be this way, but I've seen people, and I've done this before when I first started meditating.
It's like they're like more angry after.
You're making your own fucking frustration because it's like, dude, just stop, breathe. And it doesn't matter. You're gonna have thoughts gonna come through because that's your insides or like your inner like whatever it is in you is coming through and just like that's subconscious.
That's what I'm focusing on though. Just like to be more cognizant of my breath and really I want to feel better, meaning more relaxed and less anxious before I meditate to after. That's my kind of litmus test. You know, I want to feel better, and I usually do. I feel more relaxed, and my mind. Of course, a little bit more, you know, and that's the thing. There's always so many things going on. You're so busy, and I'm busy, and you're fucking 50 different places, and just to focus and to be here, you know, be here in this moment is so important.
I mean, it can even be like that during rolling, though.
Yeah.
Like when you're training. I mean, to me, like training, whether it be weightlifting in the mornings or like when I do jiu-jitsu, super meditative. Like because again, it's a time where you're in the present moment. There's nothing else that exists but that present moment with you trying not to let the person choke you.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like you're not thinking about anything else. You know, to me, there's lots of these ways that you can be quote meditative, right? Because it just takes you out of all that like jumbly monkey mind stuff and allows you to just be where you are right now, and nowhere else.
Yeah, like I guess a good thing for me is if I'm in a bad position in jiu-jitsu, if I'm in a triangle choke, somebody has my back, I just chill and I'm not panicking. That means I'm there. You know what I mean? That to me, I don't want to be I just feel relaxed. I don't panic. I mean, probably because I've been there before, but I feel like I'm in the moment with that.
So,
people panic in those spots. And it's like new people panic in those spots, I think. And then once you get to a point where you're comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes sense, then then you have achieved Zen in jiu-jitsu.
Well, no, not really. You're ahead of the person.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that like no matter where you're at, like okay, so you maybe you have someone that's trying to choke your back. If that person was better, then they're going to make you work harder.
Sure.
Because that it's you never get to be like it's all relative.
Yeah.
So if you're against someone that you're better than, then yeah, you can be real relaxed. But then as soon as you go up against someone that's the same level or better, then you're playing the same game that you were as a white belt. Basically, they're a step ahead of you, and you're like fighting it off. You know what I mean? It's always that way. Like it's just. Like it doesn't matter how good you are. Like there's always going to be someone out there, unless you're like, like Hodger Gracie or something, or Buchecha. Then it's whatever. But if you're like, the normal humans, right? There's always going to be someone out there that like where they're going to put you in a spot where you're all of a sudden you're going to feel like, dude, I'm back to being a blue belt rolling with like a brown belt again. That kind of thing. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, that's a good point. Like how people's games change. Like if they're going against somebody that's higher level than they are.
Well, it has to.
Yeah. Like when I roll with you, it was the same thing you were talking about earlier, making the other person work. If I can make you work, even though I get my ass beat, I feel good about the roll.
Sure.
If I feel you turn it on, I feel good about the roll.
Yeah, because
if you're playing with me the whole time, I'm like,
I
just get frustrated.
Yeah.
But if I can, like, if I feel you trying to get after it and really trying to put it on me, I'm happy when after the roll. I know, obviously I got the better of you got the better of me, but
well, no, but that was the way
that I felt good.
That was the way that I used to like grade my quote better when I was doing jiu-jitsu, right? Like I remember when I was doing, I don't do it anymore. I'm just joking. Like when I did it when I was younger, right?
Yeah.
Is I would roll with my coach at the time, and like if I had to get him to where he got kind of frustrated and he had to like really put it on me and smash me, I was like, I made you work. Like that was a good day for me, even though I was getting smashed right afterwards. Right? I got submitted left and right. I was like, I made you work. But it's on those days where like I feel like I couldn't put two and two together, and I couldn't even make him sweat a little bit. Those are the days where I'm like, man, I suck.
It's like, how pissed off can I get Chewy? Okay, you don't get pissed off. But
yeah,
it's fun. It's fun, man. That's a good test as well. I mean, good grade to see where you're at.
Yeah.
So injury all right. So I wanted to ask you, since we talked about injuries, I sent you a little top 10 list. It was a wrestler's mindset, I think, is what it was.
Okay.
And let me go through the list.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen them.
All right, I'm going to go through the list real quick, and you're going to tell me what you think is most. There's 10. Okay, so it's how to improve when injured. There's 10 things. Mm-hmm. And so it's improved nutrition, better sleep, mindset training, video review, flexibility, reading, self-reflection, active rest recovery, renewed excitement for the sport, or talk with coaches or mentors. Which one do you think is most important?
Let me see the list real quick.
Look at that. See which one's most important.
Most important.
One you'd hit.
Well, let's talk about them real quick.
All right.
Because they're all again, it's one of those things where when you try to say like what's the most important one,
okay,
then we lose sight of the thing that like it's a holistic approach, right? Like you are one, and it's this whole thing. So they all kind of play with each other.
Yeah.
So to tease out one is kind of being like, well, the other one doesn't matter as much, and they all kind of matter.
Right.
Improved nutrition's a big one.
Yeah.
I think that because it's so much more important that when you're injured, you have to be on your nutrition, because like, dude, okay, here's what happens. People, this is what I see, right? When people train, they're so mindful of their food they're eating because the machine is being worked, and they know that there's a direct correlation between I ate better food, I drank lots of water, and when I train that night, I feel better.
Yeah.
And then when I eat crappy, drink too much, whatever it is, I don't do so well. And so when people aren't training, maybe they're injured, they're not only depressed, right, where they're like, I can't train, but now they're not training, so they don't have that feedback to basically say, hey, fat ass, you ate the cheeseburger before training, right? So now they can eat that cheeseburger, and they don't have that negative feedback from it. So they just they're depressed, eat their feelings, and they don't have that payback from it. And I see people gain a lot of weight because they go crazy,
right?
Because they're not training. The training a lot of times becomes a catalyst for better nutrition. Like a lot of people that get into jiu-jitsu, I've just seen from my own personal experience, they didn't have good nutrition to start with. They had terrible nutrition.
Yeah.
They started training, they saw the effect that nutrition had, and then they started to dial it in. And then if they take an absence away from jiu-jitsu for whatever reason, a lot of times it falls by the wayside because those two things were attached to one another, because then they lose their reason for wanting to eat healthy.
Sure.
Right? Opposed to their own health. So I think about that. And what do you think?
As far as those?
Oh, I'm going to go on the list.
Yeah, I mean, I would say just one thing you can do is limit your sugar intake. That's what I think. Yeah, most important, because I think you're eating for a purpose. Mm-hmm. So you're like, well, what's my purpose? I'm not training.
Yeah.
So you're like, you don't realize that in the long term, can affect so many other things. So I think it's eating with a purpose. So yeah.
Well, okay, so eating with a purpose is a good thing to touch on too, because so if you're not training, your carbohydrate intake should probably come, unless you're like doing keto or something like that. But for the average person that doesn't do keto, most people don't. Bring your carbohydrate intake down.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You don't need those. They don't need those extra carbs all the time. Whereas when you're training, you can get by on some better carbs. Still good carbs. Sure. I'm not saying eat sugar, but I'm saying you can eat a lot more carbohydrates if you're training your butt off.
Yeah, for sure.
And then better sleep habits. This, regardless of whether or not you're injured, should be a huge thing. I mean, I'll throw my couple things out there, and you throw yours in there.
Sure.
For me, first off, I mean, I haven't owned a TV since I was a kid. Since I was not a kid, but late teenage, 18, 19 years old. I've had a TV for the gym and stuff like that, but I haven't actually owned my own TV that was in my house, right? Don't have one. Don't like it. Right? I went to the cable guy came to our house, wanted to sell something like cable. I was like, we don't have a TV, dude. And he's like, no, you have a TV.
Did they show you had 3 eyes?
I brought him in. I was like, don't have a TV, man. Take a look. And the reason I got rid of it a long time ago is because I had early classes for school.
Sure.
And I would sit and fucking just channel surf, and I didn't even like the shows, but I was sucked into it.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw it, I hate this thing. Got rid of it. Got in the way, and that to me, I'll see people, they'll have a TV in their bedroom. Worst mistake ever, right? Turn that damn thing off.
Yeah.
Don't look at your phone before bed.
That's huge.
People sit there and scroll through, and there's nothing important going to happen.
That's a time suck.
There's nothing important. There's nothing that's going to be that important that you need to see it before your sleep. Your sleep's so much more important than that. I put my phone on airplane mode before I go to bed because I have to, because people send me texts or something like that. I'll get messages, so I'll just turn airplane mode and I put it to the side and I read for a while. And I think that reading helps bring me down. And we have a light on. I turn my actual big lights off and have a dim lamp, so this way that the light's way more dim, kind of eases me into it. And I think you gotta get your sleep. And I think sleep habits are so much more important than people want to give them credit for.
Right.
And we're in this this time right now where everybody seems to kind of shit on sleep, right? Like where everybody's like, I sleep 4 hours a night and I kill it and grind. Like, okay, do that for a while. Like you're gonna be like fucking, you're gonna have like Alzheimer's and stuff.
Maybe.
You know, like you're probably gonna have some issues, right?
Sure.
For most people, I think maybe there's some freaks, but I think for most people, you'd be better off. I know for me personally, I've tried the no sleep kind of thing. Like we're getting very few hours of sleep. I am way more productive for the time that I'm awake if I get at least my 7 hours.
Right.
You know, bare minimum, got to get at least 7. If I do that, I'm great. I'm like killing it the whole day, training hard, doing all the work I need to do, and I'm good. But if I don't, it starts to like go under 6. I'm worthless to everyone.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and it's huge, so huge in recovery. Like the research has shown, it's so important in recovery. If you're dealing with an injury, get adequate sleep for sure. And if you're training hard, get adequate sleep. You know, we talked to, when I talked to Christian Woodmansey, he's talking about, they were doing like 2 or 3 a days over Autos, and he's like, dude, we would just go train,
nap,
we'd eat and we'd sleep, and then we'd train more, and then we'd like do whatever, we'd eat and we'd get a workout in, and we'd go to bed, and that's all we did. He's like, we didn't go screwing around at the clubs or stay up late, dude. We just, that's what we did because we had to, because it's the only way to keep our body,
if you want to be the best in the room, I mean, it's just like that. I remember the bodybuilders back in the day when I first started lifting when I was younger. They all used to say it. They're like, you don't grow in the kitchen, or excuse me, you don't grow in the gym.
Right.
You grow in the kitchen and you grow in the bedroom. Right? Like if you want to get bigger, you got to eat right, and you got to sleep right, and then you got to stimulate whatever you're trying to get out of your body. But then you got to go get the rest too, because it's the yin and yang. It's just as important, right? You can't go destroy your body and then expect it to run optimally when you're not giving it the rest and the food that it needs to recover from.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's a great point.
Mindset training. So this is again how you when you're injured to improve your mindset training. I think.
That could mean a lot.
That's such a vague term, because to me a lot of times the best times to work on your mindset are when you're in the middle of it and you like right after something happens. I could see if you're like reflecting on all the things that were happening, and this could honestly go in really well with self-reflection, which is number 8 or 7, and reading, right? Because a lot of times as you read new ideas, you get these new ideas and new perspectives on your own situation. But I think that mindset training, the best time to sort of assess how you're mentally going about things is when you're in the thick of it.
Right.
Like maybe you made a mistake, maybe you lost a tournament, maybe whatever happened. Those are the best times to sort of assess who you are, because to me, like, that's one of the best parts about jiu-jitsu, wrestling, combat sports, anything like that, where you're in these tests, and a lot of times when you make those mistakes, they sort of unearth little sides about you that maybe are not so cool, right? Maybe you get really frustrated over things and you can't deal with it mentally.
Yeah.
And you got to remain cool and calm. I used to have a really bad temper. Like, believe it or not, I used to have a temper, and I just got so angry sometimes that I couldn't control it. And jiu-jitsu is one of those things where I couldn't get angry, because you can't get angry and start going off the handle on people, right?
Sure.
So it was a way of like controlling it and tempering it and sort of feeling that issue come up and then keeping it back down. So I think those are the best times to do it. So I think if you're sitting around, I think self-reflection, mindset, and those things kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. I guess, is visualization that one? I mean, I think
visualization's not on there, so I think
that's what I would say. Part of mindset, just visualizing. Whether it's a huge thing is believing or visualizing, like say you're injured, or like visualizing yourself being able to do the things that you can't do, or you're training for a tournament, or whatever it is, seeing yourself getting back to training or hitting a technique. Those things. I would say, visualization is a huge one for me, I think. To look at. I think visualization is huge for anybody.
Yeah. It says video review. So videos are huge. I know that several times where I've been injured, like, man, I become this like just I suck down like jiu-jitsu related videos because I can't do it. And there's actually some interesting studies done on learning. And they say that those have an overall effect, positive effect on your ability to learn motor patterns, and specifically is what I'm thinking of, right? So there was one study where they took people and they were just doing a simple task, right? But they did one group where they basically just started the task physically from the get-go. They had one group and then they sort of like started to stagger them in varying levels, and they would stagger them with visual repetitions. So someone was shown how to do the thing before they actually did it,
right?
And they would physically do it, and they would give them a number of repetitions to do, and they measured how quickly their bodies and how efficiently they could do it, and they found that there was a positive benefit for the people that did some initial visual reps first and mental reps before they actually did the actual physical thing first. Like there was like when there was a little bit of both, it was actually more beneficial than when it was just the physical from the get-go.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, makes sense.
The
mind is so important.
It is. And we got flexibility training.
Oh yeah.
So now, here's a good question. Okay, here's a question I have, because for me, I've gone through these different modalities of trying to increase my flexibility, and I'll tell you what I feel like has worked the best for me, and then I want to hear what you think. Again, coming from Dr. Eugene. What up? Visualize yourself. I keep looking at these comments.
Yeah, I can't.
You got to keep them out of it, because if I look at the comments,
man, I start laughing.
They're hilarious. You guys, the guys that watch the channel are funny bastards. For me, like, I've done yoga. I've done the traditional, like, just stretching for long periods of time. I like yoga for the sort of that aspect. Yeah. But I find that I feel better flexibility-wise and movement-wise when I do things that either involve movement and strength. So, for instance, like if I'm doing a squat and I drop down to the squat either with really light weight and really hold the deep squat and then coming up like really low tempo work, or even doing things where like I drop down to just a body weight squat and I move my hips around in the position, loading some certain things, basically more of a strength exercise more so than just like doing long stretches. I feel like I get more out of that, and I feel like I actually get an increased range of motion from doing that, and I actually feel like my body feels better, right? Because like recently I've been doing some different variations of squats, and I've also done some different movements. Again, these are like movements, body weight exercises and stuff like that. With my hips feel better than they have in a while, right? Because jiu-jitsu again takes a toll on the hips, and I've been doing it, and all of a sudden my squat's coming down a little bit lower. I can get up in the morning like straight out of bed, and I can just drop into a squat, which was kind of hard. My body was getting real stiff for a while. I was like, "Whoa, what the hell?" I'm doing my yoga, I'm doing all this stuff, but it's not helping. I felt like I'm getting more out of doing strength-based exercises, but doing them with like focusing on that full range of motion and the quality of the movement rather than the weight. I feel like I get more out of that than I did when I was just doing a lot of stretching. What do you think about that?
Well, I like that. I think you're going into the restriction, so you're dropping down in a controlled manner. You're giving your body's giving you feedback on where it's restricted, and you're kind of moving into those planes of restriction, loading the joints, which is important. You're loading it. You're putting pressure through it. You're doing functional things. So your body's like, oh, I've been here before. And like you're giving yourself feedback, and your muscles and your joints are kind of figuring out where you're restricted, and you're working those planes, and that's becoming the norm. So you're starting to normalize that movement pattern. You're starting to normalize. So a lot of it's obviously there's physical changes eventually if you stretch enough, but also kind of neurological changes, like your stretch receptors get kind of stimulated, things like that. So I think it's a combination. It depends on when you do what, like dynamic before, and then kind of the longer holds are good to an extent for relaxation and maybe even some pain relief, things like that. But the longer holds are not indicated. Like, we're not going to sit there and stretch for 60 seconds on a hamstring stretch, just holding it, because it's going to screw with the muscles. It's going to mess with like the receptors, and it's going to not allow us to fire. So there's actually been research that shows that you are going to produce less force, less power. So less power if you do a longer stretch.
Now let's say that like it's the end of the night, right? Like you're done for the day. This is like if I do some stretching, this is when I tend to like to do it. Is I can get out of the shower and I can do like a little bit of long stretching routine, and that's when I'll do it, because that seems to help me as far as feeling relaxed. For you guys that were asking for sleep, that kind of helps me sleep a little bit better, and I also feel like I get some benefit from that. But that's the only time I really feel like I get much out of the stretching as far as long holds. And long holds being like maybe 10 really good deep breaths, which can range anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes. What would be if you're going to stretch like into the night, what would be sort of a good protocol as far as time, the holds, that kind of stuff?
Longer hold times if you want to do more of a relaxing type like you're doing. So maybe 30 to 60 seconds. 2 to 3 reps. It just depends. Kind of go based on feel. If you're still...
So do you think it's good to come out of the stretch and then come back into it?
Well, I think if you're doing... It depends on the purpose. If you're doing more dynamic, like getting ready...
Okay, but let's say it's let's say it's into the night and you just want to like stretch those muscles out as best you can.
Gradually work into it. Hold 30 to 60 seconds. Come out. Give yourself a little time to take some breaths, or maybe a breath, and then go back into it. I think, as long as you're feeling like you're making a little bit of progress, stick with that stretch. I mean, it's up to you. There's not a magic number.
Right.
Everybody's body's going to respond different. So I'd say start with maybe 3 to 5 reps, 30 to 60 seconds. Do an exercise, boom, boom. Breathe with it. So you're concentrating on your breathing more than anything, trying to gradually improve your range of motion. And consistency is key with that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
If you're consistent, then you will actually get tissue changes.
Right.
You will get more, mobility in the joints, things like that. But if you're like every now and again on a stretch, it's not going to have a huge effect. So you keep stretching once a week. is not really going to do a whole lot. You got to be kind of consistent. I'd say maybe even like
4 times, 5
3
times
to 4 times a week. And it just depends on how you stretch that dynamic before and then do the like long holds after. You know, I think it's a good way to kind of let your body relax.
Yeah.
You know,
I definitely noticed a benefit from that just overall. And I did notice that like when I stay consistent with my stretching, like I do get increased range of motions, like say, especially like my hip flexors, as we know I got that tight rectus femoris, the hip flexor muscle, and so from jiu-jitsu, and so I noticed that as I do both strengthening and like I do the long like stretching holds at nighttime, I feel beneficial from that. But if I just do like the long stretching, I don't do the exercises, I don't feel, you know.
I think it's you're completing the everything.
Strengthening the imbalances.
Strengthening is so important. And even like, you know, as you're loading, you're putting pressure through those joints. You're going to get more range of motion as well.
Well, and that's last thing before we move on off this subject. That's another thing that I think that people don't. This is kind of the thing. I did this originally a long time ago until I started talking to you about stuff, and then you kind of, you know, helped me kind of think about some things a little bit differently. A lot of people consider like let's say your back hurts. Like, ooh, my back hurts. I need to stretch my back. And in some cases, it can be like maybe you actually need to strengthen that back up. Because for me, that's like one of the big problems is actually strengthening my upper back because my posture tends around forward because of the overdevelopment of like these frontal muscles from jiu-jitsu where, you know, again, not just bench pressing, but also jiu-jitsu where you're squeezing all the time. We're constantly here. Whereas, you know, if we want better posture, boom, we need to be back here with the shoulders back, and it creates a lot of shoulder issues and things like that. So do you have anything to say about the stretching like versus like strength aspect of it?
You got to have both. You gotta, you know, a lot of times just because an area is painful doesn't mean it's you know, it needs to be strengthened as well. Like, you know, it's all about balance. And I think that, like you said, we're rounded. I mean, it's not just jiu-jitsu. It's not just sitting, eating, driving.
Oh yeah, it's lifestyle habits. I mean, it is.
Everything we do is sitting. Like the hip. I mean, it's all there. So you have to strengthen the areas that and just because something is loose doesn't mean it, or weak doesn't mean it's not tight either. You know, it could be weak and kind of tight as well. So it just depends. Just because something is strong doesn't mean it's tight.
And guys, this is why who knows a lot about this stuff to work with. And again, people don't like to spend money on this kind of stuff because it's like oh, I'm not hurt. But man, like again, 1 ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so if you can find a person like Eugene or someone that does like this stuff and can do an assessment with you and sort of figure out what's wrong with you, God, it's worth its weight in gold, man. Because like, I mean, again, this is the thing that we navigate the world with. And we want to keep this thing together as long as possible. And so
it's what you take from that. Like, I mean, it's what you value. Like you said, like you will pay money to learn things.
In a heartbeat, golly.
And why?
I give like, so for like people always ask me. I remember I did a question of the day. Like it was a random question on Instagram. I do those on Fridays, and every week I get questions about what's your favorite car? What kind of car would you like? I give 2 shits about a car. Right? I just don't like them. I just don't care. It's like, you know, it's a tool that I use to drive from point A to point B. Like I don't really care about them. Like for my thing, it's like I like learning things. I like being able to like, you know, help people out. Like I love being able to every now and then like say, hey guys, I'm going to cover your tournament fees, or like when we travel, or say, hey, like look, like I'm going to pay for this thing for you guys, I want to pay for this at whatever, you know, like being able to help people. Like, I like doing things like that. I don't give 2 craps about like having some cool car. It just doesn't mean anything to me.
Why?
Or like a cool watch or something.
Why doesn't it mean anything?
It just doesn't. It's not the thing that I value. Now, I understand people do value them and they like them, and that's fine. I just want something. I mean, I value being safe. I want a car that runs correctly, right? But I don't value like being like, I'm going to pay this ton of money, or, you know, for some big fat ass house or some big fat ass car. Because to me, it's like, I don't want it. Like it's just not what I value. You know?
Remember that tournament we went to?
Which one?
In Indiana, Ego. Black belt, you did. It was my first tournament back. So I took a picture of Chewy and his seatbelt, which was like knotted. The thing was like cut, and he like knotted it together. I looked at one spot, I was like, oh, okay. And then I look at the other spots knotted too, and then the car's like puttering around on the expressway. I'm afraid like the freaking door's about to fall off, and it's tired.
We got, so you know what actually what happened with that car is I gave that car to one of the guys in the gym who needed a car for him and his family. They got
that's safe.
They actually got it fixed. They got all the little things fixed on it, so it's running fine.
Right.
And then I went and bought a new car so I could.
It was a good little car. It really was. A little Mazda. It's good gas mileage.
It was fine. Yeah.
Chewy looked like if anybody's seen that movie The Incredibles, when like the dad drives this like tiny little car and Chewy's huge.
It wasn't that small.
Dude, it was like, I don't even know how you fit in there. Your head was about to come out the windshield.
Do you know what my first car was?
I don't know.
Pontiac Fiero. 1988.
Oh, it was a little two-door.
Yeah. Dude, it was like this low to the ground, and it looked ridiculous.
I want to see you get into that.
Dude, you know, honestly, once you got in there was a ton of room. Like, it was because of those 2 seats. I could stretch my feet out all the way, but man, like, you know, but you're so low to the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like, off the ground, it would be like as tall as this table.
Oh my God,
it was ridiculous. Let's check the list here. See what we got left.
What else?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you blocked it. Mindset, video review, flexibility, reading. So we have reading, self-reflection, active rest and recovery, which kind of touched on, renewed excitement, and talk with coaches.
So reading. What do you like to read?
I've been reading a lot of business books. Kind of the word that Chewy hates, entrepreneurial. Yeah. Entrepreneur.
I don't hate the word. I hate when people use it like creatively.
For me, you know, I went part-time at my job and kind of trying to find the motivation to be successful in doing things that I love, like working one-on-one with, you know, jiu-jitsu athletes and just people that seek me out, and CrossFit athletes and people that really motivate and love what they do and take a lot of they have a lot of passion in a certain activity, and I love helping them do what they love, you know, keep that passion. So that was for me so fulfilling and rewarding, and that's why I wanted to take the risk. But you know, reading books on how to bridge that gap, to know that, you know, there's failures, there's going to be setbacks, and you need those setbacks. Those setbacks are important, which I was like, shit, I don't want to have a setback. I want to do everything perfectly. You're not going to. And the setbacks are what, like, Justin Court told me to read that book, Think and Grow Rich.
Okay, good book, yeah.
So, and I'm just thinking about what are the similarities, what are the mentalities of all these people that have been these very, very successful businessmen or creators. And it's like, you know, they're talking about Thomas Edison or whoever, just failing over and over and over. And that one time he didn't fail was the time that, you know, everything kind of flowered into something amazing.
I mean, that's the way it always is, right? It doesn't work until it does.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, like, you know, I sort of did it, like, I've always been this way. Like, I don't think about things and I jump in and I figure them out along the way. Like, if we were playing a video game, I think I've used this analogy with you before. I was the kid, like, that wouldn't read the instruction manual, and I would just start playing. I would just figure out the controls on the fly, and I'd do all right. Like, that's the way that I was. And so for me, like, you know, it's like that. They're like, you can read all you want to, but until you're in the middle of it, you don't understand any of it, right? Like, even like when I started doing whether it be the gym business or like the internet business stuff, you know, I would read books on it, but until I was in the middle of it, I couldn't get it. You know what I mean? Like, you can read about it all you want to, but until you're in the thick of it, you don't know what it's like. And it's honestly, it's kind of like rolling, because when you start screwing up, you know that it's part of the process, but you don't like it while you're there, right? And it's one of those things where when you're training, you know that getting your ass kicked, it's part of the process.
Yeah.
But you don't like it when you're getting your ass kicked.
Nope.
But it's just part of it. And, you know, I used this analogy the other day when I did an Instagram video. You know, all of us, we're so focused on that goal, right? We treat things, it's almost like we just want to be to the end result. We want to be successful. We want to be the black belt. We want to be blue belt, whatever it is that we're chasing, right? We want to be that thing right now. And but the problem is you got to enjoy the now, right? Because whether it sucks or not, because you know it's a part of it, and it'll be okay. Because, you know, it's almost like getting on a ride, right? Like getting ready to ride a roller coaster. If you get ready to ride that roller coaster, you're not trying to get to the end of it, right? Like, otherwise you would just, like, when you get up there, when they're getting ready to put you on the ride, you would just step off to the other side. You're at the end. Boom, we're there, done, right? But the best part is being on the ride. The ups, the downs, those points where you're like, oh, man, you're scared, and then it works out okay. Yeah, exactly. It's part of the ride. And so like, if you listen to music, right? Like, you're not listening to music for the last note. Otherwise, you just fast forward, boom, oh, I'm done. All right, cool. But you listen to music, you enjoy the music, and you listen to another song, and you just keep going, and you enjoy every moment of it. And whether it be jiu-jitsu, whether it be anything that's going on, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, being present. You got to enjoy every little ounce that you can get out of it, because you only get it once.
I know. It's hard, man. That's a great point. It's hard to reel it back in, because you're always looking I can't wait to get to this goal, accomplish this goal. But, man, you have to appreciate where you are. That goes back to
self-reflection, though. Yeah. Like, so like when they were talking about number 7, self-reflection, you got to do that. And for anybody that's listening, I think one of the best things you can do, and I say this over, I say it so much because it's like made a huge difference in my life when I was younger, journal. I can't get over like what it does. Right, just journal. It can be as simple as, literally, you don't have to have a specific way that you do it. It can literally just be asking yourself a question. Yeah. Why does this mean so much to me? Why does this bother me? Why does this whatever? And you'll get answers. right? If you get away from your phone, just sit down with this little pad and pen and just start writing. And it doesn't have to be for any rhyme or reason as to how you're doing it. Just write. See what comes up. It's amazing what comes up.
Yeah, I haven't journaled in a long time. You know,
I journal every day.
I don't know why.
Every single day.
Never have.
Got to. Let's see. So, reading, for you guys that know me, I read, basically, I'm either reading something related to business that I want to learn, something related to philosophy or history. Those are my two fun things, philosophy or history, one of those two things. And those are the two things I typically in my bed. Right now, I'm reading this book. It's called Tie-Ins to Life. One of the guys at the gym, Rob, he gave it to me. He was a Marine, and it was like by a Marine, whatever. And it's a fun book. It's just like stories and anecdotes, about different stuff. And he has like the little moral. It's a fun book to read. It's like either real short stories, and you can read them in like a couple minutes. And then I'm reading. What am I reading right now? I've got a few. I've got like usually three books in there going. But
yeah, I'm reading that. Think and Grow Rich is the main one I'm working on.
I read that when I first got started back in like 09.
It's interesting. It's a good motivator. You just kind of way to kind of help yourself believe in what you're doing almost.
Yeah,
help yourself kind of.
It's a mindset. It's like an advocacy mindset book. Because there's very little how-to in it. It doesn't really tell you how to do anything. There's a little bit with like goals and stuff, but it's an advocacy book. It's getting you to change your mindset a little bit.
Right.
Which is
just
huge.
to believe.
Yeah. What was the last one? I was giving you the thing because your phone locks.
Sorry.
You never sent me the list.
I did send it to you.
Well, I don't
send your text.
Well,
it's on your phone.
Yeah, it's on my phone, which is recording.
So a big one for me. We talk about active rest and recovery, but number 9 is renewed excitement for the sport. And you guys, if you all haven't seen this is from it was a post on Instagram from Wrestling Mindset. So that's where I got this from. But renewed excitement for the sport. So not being able to do what you love, or not being able to be out there, seeing people out
makes
there,
you hungry.
It
makes you hungry. I love it.
Awesome.
I love it, dude. Like, because even like right now, like I had my first day, like rolling this. It was my first day rolling was Friday, bro. Like I hadn't actually rolled very much. I did some grip fighting work and stuff like that, but I hadn't rolled. Friday was my first day actually rolling around a little bit and getting a good sweat. Dude, I was on cloud, man.
Yeah,
I was like freaking smiling ear to ear. I had a good sweat. I was on the mats with the guys, dude. So happy.
So fun.
And that's one of the beautiful parts of coming down, right? You go into that dip. You're going into the valley while you're injured, but that valley is exactly what is the reason why you're going to come up over the mountain afterwards, right? And so it's one of those things where you got to be, again, you can't have just good, because if you just have good, you don't know what bad is. You have to have good. You have to have the bad to have the good. It's like when you come down there, just like I was saying, you have to accept it. You may not enjoy it, but you got to at least accept it for what it is, right? And when you're in those bad spots and you have that time off, reflect, look back on it and be like, okay. And renew that hunger. Don't take it for granted, because people do all the time. They come in and they just like they're like, oh, I'm not good enough or whatever. They get frustrated because they didn't win the tournament or whatever bullshit's going on. But then if you get injured, you're like, man, I just wish I could get my ass kicked today.
Yeah.
You're like, I wish I could have a bad day on the mats, right? And
I said it to y'all. I went, a couple weeks ago. I think I told you. I was like, man, I just didn't have it today. It wasn't firing. You're like, dude, you're out here.
Yeah,
it's better than not being out here.
It's a good day.
And now I haven't been out there, really at that level. And I'm like, like you said, you don't take stuff for granted. I'm like, when I get back, I'm not going to take this position for granted. I'm not going to give this up, or I'm going to work harder. I'm going to fight harder in this position. I'm not going to just,
It's a power contrast.
Yeah, I'm going to just fucking work. All right, last one.
Oh, and for John Silver, Chewy, have you ever thought about writing a book? I'm working on something. Tell you guys more about it later.
Last one is talk with coaches and mentors. So, do you feel like sometimes I'll see people post on like Facebook, like, "Hey, Chewy, I can't make it in today." Do you like for them to do that, or like, "Hey, I'm injured," or "I've got stuff going on"? Do you think is that necessary for people to say like, "Chewy, I can't make it in," or "This is going on with me"?
Maybe it's not necessary for them to tell me that they're not going to be there, because I'm there to serve them if they're there. But I sincerely want people to, like, especially our guys, like if they have a problem, and many of them have done this now. If they have a problem, I want them to come talk to me.
Right.
I want to help them out. Like, I mean, it's what I'm there for. So if something comes up, I want them to like say, "Hey, Chewy, I had one of the guys that had an injury going on, and he was asking me what he could do. He was like, "Hey, man, I know I watched your video. You talked about this. What are some things that I could do?" And we kind of talked about it a little bit and identified a few ways that he could train while he was experiencing the injury. So again, it's not necessary to do it, but I'm there to help if need be. I mean,
well, it's good to keep you informed too.
Sure.
Somebody's not in the gym for 2-3 weeks or something.
Yeah, because I'm sending a message like, "Where you at, man?"
It happens. Well,
yeah. let's go to let's
go through some questions.
We'll go through a couple questions, guys. So I asked.
We had more stuff, but we will touch that.
Yeah, we have plenty that we can go through, but we're obviously we're hitting that hour mark. So opening up questions to you guys watching this right now.
There's so much.
Throw out some questions right now. I'm going to look through here and see if there's anything here. But if you guys have some questions, throw them out for us. Any opinions, positive or negative, on using cycling to be better at jiu-jitsu? Man, Alan, I actually like I have the stationary bike at the gym, like one of those assault bikes. We got the Aerodyne bike, that kind of stuff. I love those damn things for training because you can get that high heart rate. And it's easy on the knees. I can get that high heart rate, and it's not one of those things where if I get better at cycling, I can always pedal harder. So I can still reliably get myself going up and down like that. And so I like doing intervals with that stuff.
Yes. That's the way I hit it.
Intervals are great with that damn bike because you will just you'll beat yourself up in a great way because you're not going to be tired or you're not going to be like beat up from it the next day. Like you can really wear yourself out cardiovascularly. Like that's something. I think it's a word, but
it is.
But I can wear my cardiovascular system for a time, but my body will not be mentally drained the next day.
Yeah, I like that. It's if you get nervous before training, your heart rate goes up, and then you want to get it down to get control because otherwise it's going to wear you out. You're going to get that adrenaline dump or whatever that is. So I think one thing that I would do before tournaments, I would actually go out where there's space outside or wherever, and I would actually do some sprint work.
Oh yeah, get the heart rate up.
So I would focus on getting my heart rate up and let it come back down. And that way, when I went to the match, I didn't feel like it was the first time my heart rate was at that.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So I felt like I had been there before.
Oh, absolutely. That's just like Dan Gable used to say it all the time. You got to go out on the mats with like a glaze of sweat on you.
Yes.
You can't go out on the mat cold and all of a sudden you're. I mean, to me, I don't know about you guys watching this, but my best rolls are typically 2 to 3 rounds in.
Yeah.
Like that's when I get my best. Like my first round is always my worst. And so I typically need to get myself sweaty enough so this way I'm ready to go and get that heart rate up so this way your body, that engine, it's like starting an old car where you got to get the engine warmed up. It's the same thing. You got to get that thing going first.
Body and brain, man. You're getting your brain kind of ready.
Let's see here. Oh, they're coming in. Mic is slightly blown out. We'll take a look at it.
Sorry, which one? This one?
Yeah, I think so. It says blown out. I don't know what that means, blown out.
I don't know. Go down. Can you put the gain down a little bit?
Yeah, put the gain down a little bit. Let's see here. What are CBD oil? I like CBD oil. It's good.
Yeah, good for some inflammation. Maybe you said it gives you some benefits with anxiety.
Helps with anxiety
levels.
for sure. Oh man. So, Chew, what are your opinions on? This is from Han91. What are your opinion on old school gyms with big warm ups that focus more on competitions and paying a lot less attention to white belts? Han91. I don't necessarily like a big warm-up, but I think you have to have something. I think that just jumping right into technique and rolling is kind of a bad idea. I think you need to do something to prime those muscles and those tendons to get ready to do what they're doing. As far as focusing on competitions and paying a lot less attention to white belts, everybody's going to focus on whatever they're going to focus on, but as far as paying a lot less attention, I think most gyms should offer at least some sort of fundamentals class for those white belts. I think it's just a smart idea. I came from the gym where we didn't really do a warm-up. We beat the crap out of each other. Everybody, you basically stuck around if you could deal with it.
Right.
And a lot of people got injured because of it, and I think it's just not the best way to do it. I think that giving people a way to basically develop themselves up inch by inch by inch, step by step, is a smarter way to go about it.
Yeah, it's kind of more of a sink or swim mentality. So if you're not in that mental framework that you can take a beating kind of every time you go in and then continue to come back, some people, so you lose some people that way.
You lose a lot of people
and
that
some
way.
People, by the way that we kind of nurture the white belts a little bit, kind of help build them up, give them some confidence, put them in an environment that's more conducive to their learning. Well, more people stick around.
Is that there's so many more people doing this stuff. When you and I first started training, it was less than you, and even when you first started training, there weren't a lot of people training.
No,
like you go into a class, and a big class might have been like, 8 people?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like now we'll have 40 people on the mat.
It's crazy.
So if we don't do something to nurture these guys up, we're going to have the same people training for the same. I mean, we're never going to gain anybody. And to me, when I think about this is where I think as a coach. When people come in the gym, they come into the gym wanting something. They don't come into, people don't buy jiu-jitsu because they want to train jiu-jitsu, right? They think that, but they come in with an idea, right?
Okay.
Someone buys P90X. They don't want to fucking sit in their living room doing workouts. They want to look better. They want to look sexy with their clothes off. They want to feel happier.
Okay.
People that come into jiu-jitsu, they're not buying jiu-jitsu necessarily. What they're buying is, I want to be able to defend myself. I want to be able to do this physical thing. I want to lose weight. I want to be in shape. I want to have the physical confidence that comes with all this stuff. I want all those benefits that come from it. And so for me, when these people come in, they have these things that they want. They have these goals that they want, just like I had, just like you did, right? And I want to help them get those. And if I'm not doing an adequate job doing that because we destroy the white belts the first day they come in because someone's got an ego, like, great, you smashed the poor guy this first day and he never even got to get up off the ground. Or if I can, like, sort of nurture those guys off, right? It's like a plane. I can get them off the runway. Boom.
Right.
And then once they're in the air, boom, then they can take off and they can continue to rise. But we got to get them off the runway a little bit, right? And that's the whole point, is like having a fundamentals class where you get that damn plane, it's trying to get going, and just giving them a nice smooth path so they can sort of see themselves off.
No, that's great. Yeah, I mean, if you want to run a successful gym, and that's what you do, I think that's the right way to go about it. You know, because you have people stick around.
Now, success again. What does success mean to you?
Well,
to me, I want to have a gym. I like
make a living with it. Get students that value jiu-jitsu and it's something positive in their life. You know?
Right, and this thing, it's about the impact on people. You know. Let's see here.
We'll do one or two more.
Let's see here.
There's a gi versus no gi debate.
Gi versus no gi.
Nuggies, nice name. He says almost every brown and black belt I've met said no gi trains you for real life situations compared to gi.
Depends, man. I mean,
you ever been a suit rolling, bro?
Yeah, right.
That's pretty real.
You know, people say that about the gi, and I get it. You know, here's the problem with it. A lot of people have never actually been in a fight. I'm gonna say it like that. Most people that like just haven't been in a fight, they don't know. Yeah. Like they make this assumption that it's not realistic based off of what they visually see. Maybe they've been in a fight, but a lot of the people I talk to never in a fight. Like, you get some guys like, you don't fight, man. Like, you live in the best part of town. Like, you've never been in a fight. So you make this assumption that on the streets, like, motherfucker, you've never been on the streets, right? Like. So you get these people like that, and then it's like I've been in fights. I haven't been in a bunch, but I've been in a couple fights. And I remember when I was younger, like, we lived in a rough neighborhood. You had to fight, just what you had to do.
Yeah.
And clothes get grabbed, bro.
Sure.
Golly, I remember, like, if you had a backpack on or you had a jacket, that was getting grabbed. Like, I remember not even doing jiu-jitsu, and like, you could grab people by their jackets and pull them down to the ground. Now, if they don't have a jacket, that's one thing. But I think that's why you do both, right? Because the thing is you know, it gives you different avenues. One, it's just jiu-jitsu, right? And now, I'll say this. If you don't want to do the gi because you don't like the way that it feels, no problem. But using the argument that it's not realistic or whatever to something, to me, is not necessarily valid, because I've been in situations, I have a video where I choked a guy out by grabbing him by his jacket because he was in my face. You know, I remember being a kid and grabbing people, like, when we're fighting, we're grabbing onto each other's clothes and like grabbing and pushing each other, and I mean, all that kind of stuff. There's this, we're grabbing and manipulating the cloth that's around us. I remember doing the suit rolling, and one of the first things I got from suit rolling was, this is ridiculous. The second thing that I got from it was, wow, this damn stuff that we wear, I'm basically manipulating cloth around this person in various different ways, and it's way more effective than I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know, and for people that say, okay, no gi's realistic, but gi's not, here's what's not realistic. You never getting punched in the face. If you've done jiu-jitsu and you think that you've never got punched in the face, you've never boxed, you've never done any of this stuff, and you think that you're just somehow going to be able to, like, no-gi your way through it, you might be able to, or even better, you don't have takedowns. I see people that have no takedowns, they've never got punched in the face, and they think that they're going to be street ready. Bro, you need some takedowns, because you need to be able to get out of the situation if you have to. You need to also understand how to like work with punches and maintain distance, or get away from distance, right? And then you also need to be able to know what it feels like to use your jiu-jitsu and punch, not a slap, like not a you need to get hit, because it's different. It's so different. And I say that because people make this like street ready sort of thing, and it boggles my mind. You know what I mean?
It's like catching a punch.
And here's another thing. I've seen gyms that do only gi jiu-jitsu that are the self-defense, focused aspect, and they never actually train live rolling or anything. It's like they never do live rolling. They never actually throw punches into the mix at somewhat moderate pace. Like maybe you don't have to go full speed, obviously, but you need to get hit enough.
Put some gloves on.
Put some gloves on, and you need to get rattled enough that's like, whoa, like I just got hit by something. So it raises that heart rate in your body to where that adrenaline's pumping, and all of a sudden you've got to be able to do that, because the whole methodology of jiu-jitsu is basically we take a technique and then we develop its ability to be executed in stressful situations by incrementally adding up the stress, right? That's jiu-jitsu. In a nutshell, that's what it is, right? And so when you do that, like, you have to have those varying levels of difficulty so that you can actually see if it works. Because if you have this self-defense technique that you have, where you're grabbing, one of the guys, this is what we're talking about, one of the guys came to my gym, and he was one of my students, and he went to another gym to visit, and he went to this gym, and they taught him how to catch a punch, like a straight punch coming at him. He catches it by the wrist, and he's like, "Would this work?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." Like maybe if a person's throwing a big haymaker, absolutely you can swing, you can duck like this, but like catching a straight punch like this, good luck. And so he was learning this, and I was like, well, okay, let me ask you this: did they actually have you try to do it with gloves on or something? He's like, no. I'm like, there you go. Like you don't know if it's gonna work. Like good luck with like going from just this nice, slow, controlled manner to all of a sudden some guy on the street pops you right in the face, and you gotta like try to catch it.
I don't think you could do it. I mean, gloves would make it a little harder because the glove is big.
To catch it, yeah.
But a fist, yeah.
So I got on that. I got on that rant
awesome.
here.
That was good.
I get frustrated by the whole like self-defense, because you got both people on both sides like barking at the other, and it's like, oh my god, this thing.
You gotta have, look, as somebody that's trained both, that I love the gi, I love loop chokes. When I do no gi training, obviously that's not there, but you gotta know both.
Yeah.
You gotta have ways to.
You don't have to. If you don't want, listen. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But don't try to point the finger at someone else's version of what they want to do and say that it's wrong. That's my problem.
Right.
Because everybody wants to be right. Okay. Listen. Like, here's a great quote I like from Theodore Roosevelt. He said something to the effect of, "If I can be right 25% of the time, I can achieve anything in life." Right? So this is a guy who's done more in his lifetime than I think most of any of us have, right?
Sure.
And he thought he was wrong already more than 75% of the time. But everyone walks around like they're right 100% of the time. It's like, I think that it's just safe to say this is a perception. Look, this is the way I'm going about it. This is the way I want to do it. Yeah. And this is the way that I believe. You do your thing. Right? And so that's my problem with it, is that people want to sit on their sides and team up and say, you're doing it wrong. Doing it wrong to whom? Like, based off whom? Like, I mean, maybe I don't want to do it the way you want to do it, right? Like, or maybe I've had different experiences. Like someone may have been in a fight and they never had a big jacket or something. Maybe they lived in a really warm climate. So to them, it's like, oh, dude, no-gi makes more sense for a street fight. Okay, cool. Well, I live in a cold climate half the year.
Sure.
We have jackets on.
Yeah.
Shit gets real serious, and like where we can use like cloth. So for me, my perception, my experience, it says that it's not unrealistic. It's very realistic. So it's about, like, look, man, everybody's got a different path in this whole thing. Let them go and do their own thing and just mind your business and do your thing.
Right.
And if you want to share something, share from your own experience, but don't bark at people as if they're doing it wrong, because that's so annoying. And like, you're just drawing lines in the sand instead of being like, hey man, you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, and it's cool. We're all kind of, it's almost like people getting mad. Hey, you're Catholic, I'm Protestant, fuck you. It's like, I'm gi, I'm no gi, fuck you. Like, no man, like, we're all in the same, we're all doing jiu-jitsu. Like, just do it however you want to do it.
Yeah, it's two things. It's two things. Number one, it's all jiu-jitsu, and number two, it's dependent on the environment you're in.
And that's it. And what you want to do.
If you want to be comfortable everywhere, do both. If you just want to be comfortable in a cold climate with, jackets on, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's never a right and wrong. It's like somebody picking apart a technique and saying, well, you should have this placement of the hand, or your hand should be here instead of here. Well, there's probably a reason for each. There's advantages, disadvantages on each based on what you're trying to achieve, what your opponent's trying to achieve. So,
well, I mean, how many times have you seen where you learned a technique, and then all of a sudden later on that technique got shown a little bit differently based off the other person's experience, right? It happens all the time.
Well, and the counter, what they do.
Yeah.
There's the thing about jiu-jitsu is you do one thing, they counter, or it's all a game of variations. There's not one half guard. There's all kinds of half guards.
Right, there's all kinds of
types of,
depending on your body type and depending on what you use.
Exactly. All right, Chewy. What do you got? I think it's it.
All right, so guys, we'll wrap this one up. So again, we're gonna do these.
My hair's messed up.
We're still working on this, guys, so bear with us. This is new territory for us, but we're gonna do these every Monday, and we're these people. You guys are so goofy.
What are they saying?
But it just the crazy. You guys don't understand. I'm prepared for a bloodbath. Hashtag no liabilities. You must follow Chad. But we'll be doing this every Monday around 2:00. We'll get everything sort of set in stone, and as we get the location stuff dialed in. But come join us, and this will be up later on iTunes. It's going by the name of the Jiu-Jitsu podcast for now, and you guys can find it. If you guys don't already follow us, obviously Jiu-Jitsu on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then Eugene.
The Jiu-Jitsu Therapist, and on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't followed Eugene before, check out his videos. If you've got some injuries, he may be able to, just on the videos that are there, he may have something for you. If not, send him a message.
Yeah, just reach out, man. I'd love to, if I can give you some advice, quick advice over the phone or email, I'll be happy to do that. So
over the phone. Ooh. All right, guys.
Hey, man.
Cool. So guys, had fun, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Awesome. All right. We will work. We'll see how it turned out.